British racing drivers are often regarded as some of the best in wet weather conditions, with the likes of Jenson Button and in more recent years Norris and Russell all showing off what the Great British weather taught them growing up during infamous races like Canada 2011 and treacherous qualifying sessions like Spa and Russia last season. But alongside these names stands another Brit who has been regarded as one of the best wet weather drivers in F1 history, or at the very least in the modern era anyway. Of course, I'm talking about Lewis Hamilton, a driver who from the minute he arrived on the scene wasted no time showing his skills, as in 2008 he won by over a minute in an insane rain-soaked British Grand Prix, during which his championship rival Felipe Massa spun 5 times. Since then he solidified himself as one of the best in the wet, with him later going on to win every single wet weather race from 2014 to 2018. That is a mental stat. And yes, even though he was in the best car during that time, rain does somewhat level the playing field when it comes to car performance, as when it's slippery out it doesn't matter how quick your car is, if you can't control it, you've got no chance. As Bottas so kindly demonstrated for us in Turkey 2020. In recent years, Hamilton's shown us that he still has it in his locker, putting together one of the best laps of his career in a very wet qualifying at the 2020 Styrian Grand Prix as he took pole by 1.2 seconds. However, since then, things seem to have changed a little bit, as a pattern has begun to emerge of him not being quite the rain god he once was, thus raising the question, is he no longer the best wet weather driver on our grid? Now, although at first that question may seem like an overreaction to a few simple mistakes here and there, when you actually stop and look at his performances in recent wet weather races, that question begins to become a little bit more valid. For example, Imola 2021, he binned it into the gravel and bumped the wall in the process. Spa 2021, he got out qualified by George Russell in a Williams. Sochi 2021, he crashed twice in qualifying, once into the pit wall and then again on his last flying lap. Imola 2022, he was stuck in the midfield making no progress while his teammate was in the top 5. Monaco 2022, same story, as he struggled down in P8, and of course this last weekend at Singapore he binned it once again, costing himself what was going to be at minimum a P4, instead finishing 9th. Now from this it's safe to say his wet weather performances as of late haven't been to the same standard we're used to seeing. That being said though, he does still have pace in the wet, as we saw in the races at Sochi and Turkey last year, as well as qualifying last weekend, with him missing out on pole at Singapore by just over 0.05 of a second. So the pace is still there, he just seems to be making a lot more mistakes these days. Maybe he's getting old, you know, his reaction times are slowing down. Probably not, but you never know, it could be a factor. So, if Lewis Hamilton's not the best anymore in the wet, who is? Well, there are a few other drivers on our grid who always seem to excel when the rain comes down. For example, the before mentioned Norris and Russell, with the McLaren man taking a podium at a moist Imola 2 years on the trot, as well as flying in qualifying at Spa last year before, well, he wasn't. And of course, he took his maiden pole position at a wet Russia last season and was on track to win that race until, well, he wasn't. Russell similarly showed his pace in the wet throughout 2021, most notably in qualifying at Spa and Sochi, but again has been prone to making a few mistakes. Another name we can't leave out though is Fernando Alonso, because I mean, well, he's good in any condition really, with him reminding us as recently as qualifying in Canada that he isn't a slouch in the rain, and he was even on for another good result this weekend in Singapore before his car went bang. But even still, I don't know if he's the best. Another name I want to throw in the mix is Lance Stroll. Now, hear me out, I know he's not the best, I'm not saying he's the best, but we've seen multiple times that the Canadian can do bits when the heavens open up, like in Monza 2017 and Turkey 2020 when he took his pole position. So I thought he at least deserved an honourable mention. But at the end of the day, lads, as much as my Hamilton fanboy self hates to admit it, Max Verstappen is probably the most likely challenger to Lewis's title of best in the wet, and to many may have already taken it off of him. Over his time in F1 so far, he's shown time and time again monumental car control and pace on a rain-soaked track. Think back to Brazil 2016, Germany 2019, Imola 21, Spa 21, he's just super consistent. And although he still makes the odd mistake from time to time, like in Turkey 2020 and Singapore last weekend, he's definitely still up there as one of, if not the best wet weather driver on our current grid. But what do you think? Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below who you think the best wet weather driver on our current grid is. Is it still Lewis Hamilton or is it Max Verstappen now? Or do you think Lando or George could be in for a shout? I'm going to be reading all the comments, so you better go down there and tell me what you think. But yeah, lads, that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I've been Aiden, this has been Crash F1. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.